Welcome back to the Legal Brief, the show where we crush the various legal myths and misinformation surrounding various areas of the gun world. I'm your host, Adam Kraut, and today we're talking about how Cory Booker wants you to get a license for that gun. SB Tactical, the originator of the pistol stabilizing brace, set the bar for innovation and product development in the PDW pistol category. From the insanely popular SB-M4 to the adjustable SB-A3 and even kits for pump-action firearms, SB Tactical braces are available for a wide variety of firearm platforms in fixed, adjustable, and side-folding models. To get 15% off your legally transported and carried pistol braces, use the code TGC15 over at sb-tactical.com. Everyone's favorite New Jersey Senator Cory Spartacus Booker introduced the Federal Firearms Licensing Act earlier last week. Aside from sounding like a complete pain in the butt, it's filled with things that make other bills being proposed sound like child's play. So what's this week's dumpster fire have in it?
Some people see a dumpster fire and do nothing but watch the spectacle.
First, it makes it illegal for anyone without a federal firearms license to purchase or receive a firearm. I know. You're already thinking, but Adam! That's already a thing with dealers, right? I see why you'd think that. This bill actually orders the Attorney General to build a system for databasing and issuing licenses to individuals, not dealers and manufacturers. So, what are the requirements to get a license? The bill specifies that individuals would have to complete firearms training. The training consists of a safety course to demonstrate the safe use of a firearm, along with the ability to shoot accurately. Additionally, you would be subject to a written test to demonstrate knowledge of applicable firearms laws. Just wondering what other constitutional right you have to pass a written test for in order to exercise, but hey, nobody asked me. On top of that, as you guys know from watching the show, there's a lot of laws out there. The bill doesn't even specify which laws you'll need to know in order to pass. I'd say I hope that you've got a law degree, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone. In order to submit your license application, you'll have to go to a designated local office. Once there, you'd be required to submit to a background check, investigation, and criminal history check, provide proof of your identity, submit a copy of your fingerprints, and provide the make, model, and serial number of the gun you plan to buy, along with the name of the seller of the gun.
Oh, come on!
So, why these fingerprints and background check investigation on top of the more typical NICS criminal record check? That's because the government's enrolling you in FBI's RAPBAC program. The name stands for Record of Arrest and Prosecution Background Check. There's two problems with this system aside from it being a domestic surveillance that's more targeted than the PATRIOT Act. First, records that are entered into the system remain there indefinitely. And second, these records include arrests which don't even result in charges being pursued. Yes, this includes more Orwellian surveillance. But wait, there's more. The AG's local office has up to 30 days to grant you a license. Now, I know you all want to know what would result in a license denial. The AG can deny your license based on factors as harmless as a disorderly conduct offense, or even any recent acquisition of firearms, ammunition, or other deadly weapons. Other factors that they would look to would include history of threats or violence towards the applicant or others, history of use, attempted use, or threatened use of physical force by the applicant, whether the applicant was subject to a restraining or protective order, prior arrests, pending charges, or convictions for a violent or serious crime, stalking or domestic violence, prior arrests or pending charges or convictions for cruelty to animals, a history of drug or alcohol abuse or trafficking, involvement in firearms trafficking or unlawful transfers, and unsafe history of storing or handling firearms. The bill does provide a way to contest an application denial, and that is through the federal district court, which likely means hiring a lawyer. Licenses can also be revoked, which means you'll be stuck in the same boat. On top of that, the bill also directs the Attorney General to set up procedures to ensure any firearm is removed from any person when their license is revoked. Firearms removed under this provision may only be returned if the person's license is reinstated. Senator Spartacus's bill also bans the sale or transfer of a firearm unless it's conducted by an FFL, and since that service isn't free, you're going to pay each time for that transfer fee. On top of that, each license also expires 5 years after the date it was issued, which means you're stuck marching through the bureaucratic process to exercise your constitutional right every 5 years. This will be particularly harmful to the poor, but I guess the former mayor of Newark doesn't really think that poor people have a right to self-defense anyway. So, what's the bottom line here? In order to get a license to exercise your constitutional right to keep and bear arms, you'd have to pay for training, take a legal test, submit your fingerprints and personal information to FBI. On top of that, if your application is denied by a low-level bureaucrat for something trivial, you'll be spending your paycheck trying to overturn the government's decision by appealing to the government. Even if you're able to get and maintain a license, it expires in 5 years, and you're jumping through hoops to renew your license. Up next, licenses to speak freely. That's it for this episode. If you learned anything from the show, help us out, hit that like button. Make sure you share it around with your friends. Don't forget to get subscribed, and if you enjoyed the video, consider supporting us via the links down in the video description. And as always, thanks for watching. Alright. Yes, this bill includes some Orwellian.
Yep, it's over, but don't worry, you can click on the video up top to watch last week's show, and the one below that is the one that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Check them out and let me know what you think.